Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the CCSQ Data and Analytics Town Hall. For those of you who are new, these calls are designed to provide you with updates, announcements, training demos related to the CDR, SAS Viya, Databricks, and more. So before we get started, we are going to cover a couple of administrative announcements. So please remember to stay muted to minimize interruptions during our call. If you do have any questions, we do ask that you use the Zoom chat, and then they can be answered during our Q&A portion of our call at the end. And then all meeting materials will be made available in the CCSQ DNA portal after the event. We do ask that you just give us a little bit of time to turn that around because we need time to get that compliant and 508 accessible. So with that, we have one more announcement before I kick things off to our first presenter today. Just a quick update on the satisfaction survey. They will be now. We previously had been administering them monthly, but we will now be administering them on a quarterly basis, and information regarding the survey is going to be shared in our newsletters. In our April newsletter issue, we'll provide an overview of the previous survey results, so keep an eye out for that. Today's agenda, first, we're going to be kicking things off with iQIES data and the CDR. Then we'll be moving to SAS to Pi, what's new. And then third, we'll be wrapping up today with Unity catalog overview. And then as long as time allows, we'll be moving to that Q&A portion. Just a quick note on Q&A. If we do run out of time or time does not allow, any questions asked in the Zoom chat will be addressed and passed off to our presenters or our team, and they'll get those answered. And then all Q&A, including even if they didn't get asked during our meeting itself, will be published. That way everyone can access them and see the answers then. And that'll be in the CCSQ DNA portal. So first, I'm going to be passing things over to Tom to give us more information about iQIES data and the CDR.
Hey, thank you, Julia. Good afternoon or good morning to all, depending on where you're at. My name is Tom Kress. I currently work in the Quality Safety and Oversight Group within CCSQ and was formerly on the ISG team for several years. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the data that the keys and iQIES programs are publishing into the CDR. So if someone could advance the slide, that would be great. Or are we not? There we go. So first, I want to make sure everyone knows what the subject matter is. KEYS, the Quality Improvement and Evaluation System, legacy system that's been in place for 20 years or so. And CMS is, excuse me, is hot on the heels to transition all of that over to iQIES, which is obviously the internet version of the same system. For those of you who don't know, primarily survey and cert related data, whereby we make sure that the providers are adhering to the conditions of participation, doing what they need to do, and are able to operate and take care of our beneficiaries. In addition to which, there's also patient assessment data that is housed, stored, and operated within KEYS and iQIES. So that's kind of the big picture view of the systems and the data that are in play. Next slide, please. Okay, so without going through the litany of all of them, I just put a snippet of a couple per each. And again, I'll preface this by saying all this information is on the DNA portal data catalog page. Shout out to the DNA team who do an awesome job making sure everything's available to you. So this is just a portion of it, but I just wanted to highlight some things. So for those provider types that have not been migrated into the new system, these two schemas in the CDR, KEYS Casper and KEYS Casper Acts, contain legacy information about survey information and complaint information. So primarily, all of the certification, survey, et cetera, in the first one, and then the complaint information, intakes, triage, that type of information in the second schema. And again, these are all for legacy provider types that have not been migrated to iQIES. Next slide, please. Okay, so in the iQIES world, and maybe I should digress here for a second to make sure everyone's aware. So in iQIES, we have home health agencies, ambulatory surgical centers, and hospice providers. Those have migrated over, and 4 out of the 5 patient assessment instruments have migrated over. So you have MDS, OASIS, LTEC, IRF, And ultimately, the HIS or New Hope instrument that will come out in October of this year will be resident in the CDR as well. So this is an example of two schemas in iQIES, and there are other are in the CDR for iQIES data, and there are others that just again a snippet. So the iQIES enforcement data, similar to the complaint, the iQIES enforcement data is the information coming out about remedies and sanctions against providers as they go through the survey process. Just one that I picked out as an example. The second one is the patient assessment information that I mentioned previously. So home health agencies or OASIS, the outcome and assessment information set. This is the OASIS data that exists in the CDR and the schema in which it is housed. Item next. So next slide, please. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, but we reiterated here, all of the schemas and the related information for the data we're trying to publish can be found on the DNA data catalog page, and the link is provided for you. Again, great resource to everyone who's looking to understand not only our data, but the other data that the DNA team publishes. So it's all right there at your fingertips, and I implore you to take advantage of that. And then a little bit about coming down the pike. No definitive dates because the transition process is a little bit in, it's a big effort, and obviously there's a lot of planning going on. But CLIA information, the clinical laboratory information, is on the hook to be published and have its information in the CDR. Payroll-based journal will be in that same boat. In addition to other quality measure data, we create quality measures from the aforementioned assessment instruments, and we expect to publish additional quality measure data. And then finally, I mentioned it earlier, the new hospice instrument is called the HOPE, or the Hospice Outcome Patient Evaluation. It will replace the current hospice item set assessment. And once that assessment instrument goes live on 10/1/2025, and all things are green, that information will be posted or be published into the CDR as well. So I just wanted, again, I want to take too long, give you 5-10 minutes of kind of the type of information that iQIES and iQIES is publishing to the CDR. It's a significant effort to get all of the survey and certification and related information into the CDR so everyone can use it. Ongoing transition, as I mentioned, and hopefully, all goes well, we'll be able to continue to bring you new data to utilize, within the CDR. So Julia, I think that's the last one. That's everything I had, and I will obviously be here for questions, as we get to the Q&A portion of the program. So thanks for having me today.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, so at this point, we are going to be passing things over to Ashley for SAS Pi What's New, and he can give you a little bit more information about himself and his presentation.
Great, thanks, Julia. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Ashley Miller. I'm the product lead. As part of the AIM team, we've deployed SAS Pi. As most of y'all probably know, we've done these town halls and data camps before, and so we'll be providing an update today for you. So next slide. So the 4 topics we're going to cover today, there's a new release of SAS Pi out available now. And then we'll be talking about some new SAS Pi documents, some new ones that are there, and some that are forthcoming. And we'll talk about how to access this information through the Data and Analytics portal. And lastly, we'll have a short demo of Merlin AI, a new chatbot that's available within SAS Pi. Next slide. So on Monday, we put release 3.17 into production, and it's available now. So when you log in through HARP, you will see the new SAS Pi release. There's minimal changes to the user interface. So when you log in, you will see the same familiar user interface you've used in the past, with a couple of minor changes, mainly around improving ease of use and visual clarity. I'm not going to go into some of the details of these, but here's a couple of the bullets that are listed here. But one that I will point out, we heard from several people that there was an issue when uploading files into SAS to Pi, and that including files with mixed case file names. What we found was there was an issue with the web application firewall that was blocking some of these file uploads, and that has been resolved. So if you do see an issue now, please reach out to us. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can contact our team. We do have on the call today with us the SAS migration specialists that work with you all when you're doing your SAS migration. The second item is Merlin AI. So this is a chatbot feature that's now available in the user interface. And it's very easy to pull up and interact with. One thing I will point out, this is not using like ChatGPT or Perplexity or some of these large language models that you might see that are what I consider public, but rather this is a dedicated private large language model that's hosted in the CMS AWS environment. So you don't have to worry about potentially leaking sensitive data, code, or data, because this is all staying within the CMS AWS enclave, since it is a private LLM. I believe Suman Adori, one of our SAS migration specialists, is going to be demoing Merlin AI. At the end of my presentation, he'll take a few minutes and go through that, and he can verify. But I believe we're using a version of Olama as that large language model. So when you interact with Merlin AI, you can ask questions related to code conversion, for example, or explain how this code is actually working. Tell me how this code works. So you can just use natural language to interact with it. And we are working on some new material around Merlin AI to give you some more information on how to use it. So that'll be forthcoming as well. Another improvement in 3.17 is the conversion rate for converting to Python, PySpark for Databricks specifically. So when you do your conversion from SAS to Python, you're given an indication of the conversion rate. Was it 90% converted, 93% converted? And then the part that doesn't convert, you have to go in and do some manual code remediation. So what we've done is we've improved this conversion rate, and you can actually go in and take advantage of this by selecting a regenerate or reconvert menu option. So if you've already converted your code and you want to see an improvement in that code conversion, you can reconvert your existing code to take advantage of these improvements. Next slide. Thank you. So there are some new SAS to Pi documents out there. These are available on the Data and Analytics portal. So I'm going to start with the second bullet. So there is a starter guide out there and Databricks execution. So the starter guide is for somebody who's getting just started with SAS to Pi and wants an idea of or a walkthrough of how to get started with doing SAS migration. The second item, Databricks execution, actually the third bullet, Databricks execution, this actually talks about how to take your converted code, your Python, PySpark code, and take it over to the Databricks environment to actually execute that code. And then the first bullet, the SAS to Pi best practices. This is a new document. It's not quite ready. We're putting the finishing touches on it, but we'll be putting this into the DNA portal as well. And there is a link. It looks like Bhavani. Thank you. Bhavani has put a link out there to where the link to where you can access these documents and other information as well. Next slide.
But we don't have all day, and we can now add this signal host to this very long list.
Well, okay, how to get help. So we have a team of dedicated SAS migration specialists that can help you with your SAS migration. So they know SAS and they know Python and PySpark very well. They know Databricks and how to get your code running in the Databricks environment and connected to your data sources. So here's some of the resources, some of the help resources available to you. So we just talked about the DNA portal and the pages that are available there, the training pages and documentation that's available there. You can also reach out to the support team through the email or Slack channel that you see in the second bullet here. And then if it's not clear to make it clear, I guess, really for the service center, ask for your ticket to be routed to the SAS to Pi support team. You can see there, ADO AIM SAS to Pi support. That way it goes directly to our team and we will respond to that ticket. And then the third way is by our Slack channel. So you can see the Slack channel here, QNet-SAS to Pi. So if you want to be, this is an invite only channel, so it's not open to everyone. But if you want to be added to that QNet-SAS to Pi Slack channel, if you put your name in the chat today for this town hall, then we will add your name to the channel. And so we use that channel. We post them. We just recently posted, I think, some videos there as well as other updates and reminders. And next slide. So this is just a screenshot of how you access SAS to Pi resources in the DNA portal. So after you go to the DNA portal and log in, you can go to SAS to Pi, and there you'll see all the documentation and training resources that are available to you. And next slide. Okay, there. I talked on that previous slide about the QNet SAS to Pi Slack channel. We do have some getting started videos that we will be posting soon. We're also working on those are actually done, and I think we're going to be putting those out there soon. And we also are working on a Merlin AI and a Databricks getting started video as well that we'll be putting out there. So this is really a great resource and a way to interact one-on-one with our migration specialists. Next slide. So we do have office hours. These are held bi-weekly. Our next office hours is actually tomorrow at 2:30. And I think you can see the SAS to Pi office hours. We actually do post them in that QNet SAS to Pi channel. You can also see them in the events page on the DNA portal. If you go to the events page, you can see it there and sign up for our office hours. Next slide. All right, and now I'm going to turn it over to Suman, who's going to do, I think, a screen share and show a couple of Merlin AI examples. So we'll just take a couple of minutes so you can see Merlin AI in action.
Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, so here I am logged into the SAS to Pi dashboard. The first thing I want to make mention to is this yellow icon here. It looks like a wand. So this is how you bring out the Merlin AI chatbot window. And just to elaborate on the earlier point about Merlin AI being a private model, it is a privately hosted Llama 3 model, which is pretty similar to ChatGPT and the likes of those kinds of models. But the biggest advantage is that it's privately hosted in a CMS environment, which means all the code and all the data that you have, which may be proprietary or have sensitive information in there, you can ask Merlin AI questions on those code snippets or those bits of data, and it should all be okay because it's not leaving the environment at all. That data is not being saved anywhere. So that's one of the biggest advantages to Merlin AI is that it's completely private. Now getting on to some of the functionality. So here there's some questions that are preloaded, but you can pretty much ask it anything. Like, let's just say, let me ask it this, and in a few seconds, you'll get a response that helps you with this. So you can use this to help you remediate. So here's an example. It gave it some example code in pandas. You can use this to basically help you understand some of the generated code. Because some of the Some of the functions inside the code are SAS specific. So if you need some help understanding what that function does, for example, or why something is written the way it is, you can use Merlin AI to help you understand all sorts of things related to that. Moreover, you can even ask it to explain to you some of the bits of SAS code, for example. I'm going to pick a pretty simple one for the sake of demonstration. But you can basically just say, I have this bit of SAS code, and you tell me what it does. Something like that. Yeah, it's very simple. Just like the function. So yeah, you can kind of use this tool to do these sorts of activities. Like you can ask it, what does this bit of SAS code do? Or what does this bit of converted Python code do, for example? Like you don't quite see the one-to-one conversion between the SAS and the Python. You can ask it to help you with that. There's also integrations with stuff like the converter tab, where you can look at each individual block and ask it to explain to you the blocks, or try converting it, for example, and it can do its best to convert that bit of SAS code to Python, and then you can ask it to explain to you why it did it the way it did, or you can take, for example, already bit of converted code and just say, again, like why does this work the way it does, and so on. So this is kind of the foundations of a um, bigger picture kind of chatbot integration. This is pretty new, so you can imagine it's going to be constantly improved upon and expanded, and hopefully in due time this will be a really robust, useful tool that can help you in your conversion journey.
Great, thanks, Suman. So that concludes our presentation. We're going to stay on the call here. I know there's a Q&A at the end, so if there's any questions, we're happy to answer those on this call. Back to you.
Okay, just verifying you guys can see my deck again.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Okay, so at this point, we are going to be passing things over to Kyle and Lawrence for some information on the Unity catalog overview. Also, thank you to Ashley and the AIM team for giving us that overview.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kyle Webb. I'm the team lead on the QDAS data platformers team. Basically just an overview of what we do. We help administer and contribute core data assets to the CDR. And then on top of that, we help establish governance standards, enforcing those standards, and then administering data access authorization. Today, I'm going to share sort of some capabilities that come with what's been happening in the latest iterations with rules, and how those are sort of configured and access is granted. And then on top of that, just Unity Catalog as a meta store, and then sort of what offerings that opens up for the CDR as a whole. And then Lawrence will, I think, do a demo after me. If you can go to the next slide. So I'll start with this image. You all may be aware that if you travel to Portal today and look at the My Access page, if you clicked on that green banner, the DA Portal, you'll see My Access pop up, and you click on that tab. It'll show the actual like CDR schemas and the data descriptions that your organization would have access to. And these aren't actually just derived from the DUA. They're all encompassing of the rules that your org should have for data assets. If you go to the next slide, please. So with that update in mind, I'm sorry, the text is a little small here. So I'll try and work through this diagram, but essentially the way this works is an org, call it org A, would have two paths to basically request rule access in the CDR today. One is through their DUA, their data use agreement, that I think you all are aware of, and uploading that to Portal, and it having EPI codes that map to certain resources that you should have access to. And then the second is sort of requesting a DAR, data access request, I believe is the acronym there. And DARs can be used for a myriad of things, including like application performance issues and those things, but mainly it can be used for data access for items that might not have EPI codes that you can distinctively like point to in your DUA. So that's the second mode of sort of working through rules for an organization, the CDR. Can you go to the next slide? So with that in place, there's sort of a rules engine that we manage in QDAS. And this sort of looks at the back end of that information that's been supplied by the org. And it does things like updating IAM policies for the certain org and what access they should have, providing those grants in Databricks, for instance. And our team sort of manages part of that. There are other sub teams on QDAS that do that work as well. Can you go to the next slide? And of course, the last part of this is then what those rules reflect and how they're maintained. So as an example, org A, if you go the top path there, may have wanted some rules to access the underlying data and where that's stored in some sort of cloud offering like AWS S3. And then secondly, that path sort of going off to the right, they would need a rule to be able to read that metadata, actually read the tables and the database and see the skeleton of the schema and how that's sort of built out from the underlying data. You can think and use your imagination here of how this sort of works then with the portal. So now that we have this sort of streamline built out with rules and having this rules engine, it makes data sharing, data publishing, and contributing, workbench and database file management, all sort of seamless self-offering or offerings that you could then use as an org in the portal. So that's really the goal here. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so the second part of this talk is then about Unity Catalog and how this sort of ties into that and what doors open with that as a feature in Databricks. So just as a high level, what is Unity Catalog? It's a unified data governance solution from Databricks. It helps manage metadata across all data assets within an organization, and it's really helpful for comprehensive data governance, centralized security policies, all of these things. And at that high level, you can see on the left what this sort of looks like in today's system with Databricks. The meta store is contained within our workspace. And with Unity Catalog in place, it sort of moves up to a higher plane. And this really does help facilitate more comprehensive data governance. Things like auditing and lineage and sharing are much more easier to implement. And so the two major assets of these features that are unlocked basically with Unity Catalog would be interoperability and sharing. I'll just show two use cases of how that could work. If you could go to the next slide, please. So one offering that Databricks has once Unity Catalog is in place is called Lakehouse Federation. And you can think of Lakehouse Federation as like a unified querying setup that's also like optimized for Databricks use. So as an example, with our environment, we have that portal rules engine, orgs are requesting access through the portal and it's managed, flows through the back end. There could be a Lakehouse Federation catalog basically that allows for read connection. Today, I think later Databricks will support not only read-only, but other things as well, to external data stores. And those external data stores could be any of those things on the bottom in blue there. So there's a high degree of interoperability for what we can support by allowing Lakehouse Federation. And it makes not only that multiple access layer available, but as I said before, the optimization for reads from external data sources is much faster. You can go to the next slide. The other use case, the other offering that becomes available with UC is delta sharing. And delta sharing in Databricks, it was helped developed by them and Linux Foundation. It's basically an open protocol for secure real-time data sharing across different platforms without moving or copying the data, and that is key. So this is like a really strong and secure way to share data between different partners, sources, and recipients, while keeping things platform agnostic. It also has like a real good like ease of integration with the CDR as it exists today. Those assets, I think, do need to exist as Delta Lake format. So they would have to be like Delta tables that you're sharing between those different groups. But as you can see, there's a lot of support with different areas that it could work in. With that, I'll stop here. Thank you for your time and attention. I'll look at questions in the chat, and I guess we'll cover this in the Q&A too, and I'll pass it over to Lawrence. Thanks.
Hello. Thank you, Kyle. My name is Lawrence Vajoko. I'm the team lead for the analytics workspace team, the QDAS analytics workspace team. What we do is basically we help TMS maintain Databricks for the most part and SAS. And so whenever you see changes coming to the systems in terms of how we handle complete policies and things of that nature, our team sort of handles that. And today I'm just going to show a quick demo of how we're going to be handling complete policies going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I think I need approval for that.
You should be okay now.
Let's try it one more time. Okay, perfect. Two. Can you see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
It's been a little weird. It's not telling me which screen it's sharing. Sorry about it. Can you see Databricks by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So today, as part of our self-service initiative, what we are trying to do is basically move away from managing too many things and put basically the ball in our users' hands, so give them more control. And so what we are trying to do is increase flexibility for our users. And so currently, when users want to create run their jobs and things of that nature, we have certain compute policies that we create and manage for the users, and all they have to do is start it up and connect to it. That's staying for now, but eventually that's going to be going away. What we are trying to do going forward is have users create their own policies, and so their own compute clusters. Sorry. Yeah. And so basically, we want users to be able to control, create their own personalized compute job clusters or single user clusters. Basically, the advantages of this is basically, you have a little bit more control. You can go in, and I'll give a demo of how that's done. I think we have users already using this already, but we want all our users to get comfortable doing this, because this will be the way to create clusters going forward, or to run your jobs going forward. And so we want the advantages are basically you have more control over the cluster. You're able to use more resources in the sense that you're not really fighting with some of your colleagues for resources. If you're running multiple jobs at the same time, this will be strictly single user access. And so whoever creates that cluster gets access to it. They're able to run their jobs successfully on it and then terminate it after they're done. And so I'm just going to go through and just give a quick demo. I'm an admin, so my screen is going to be slightly different, but for the most part, it should be the same. So I'm just going to start from the beginning. When you go into Databricks, you're just going to compute. You might see a list of compute clusters. You just click on create compute. And you find your org right here. So in this case, I'm just going to use QDAS.
Oh, Lawrence, I think we're only seeing your sticky notes and
Oh, you're seeing my other screen.
Databricks compute.
Okay, that's why I wasn't, it's not showing me the right screen. Okay, give me a minute. I will reshare again. Sorry about that. That's better now?
Yeah.
You see my mouse moving? Okay, great.
Yep.
All right, I will start again. Sorry about that. So as I was saying, we want you to be able to create their own cluster. So when you go into Databricks, all you just have to do is go into compute. You click on create compute. And then it shows unrestricted for me because I'm an admin, but all you just have to do is search for your org. In this case, I'm just going to use QDAS as an example. Click confirm. And here, as you can see, it's basically single user access. In this case, is tied to just my name, right? So once I create a cluster, I'm going to be the only one that has access to it. You select your runtime, like as usual. Basically, your worker sizing will be there. That might be different because we have special orgs that need more. And so when we do, there's a process for that to get that approval to increase the sizing. But for the most part, there will be most orgs who have the default sizing that we've set for them. You also select your driver type, again, sizing, depending on what your org has. And then you're able to click create and create that cluster and then run your jobs. That is pretty much it. Any questions? If not, I'll hand it back. Okay, thank you.
I'm not seeing any in the chat right now. Thank you so much. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, just verifying that you guys can see my deck again.
Yes.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay, so at this point, we can move to Q&A if we have any. I see Laura just put out a note. If anyone has questions, please drop them in the chat. You can also feel free to come off mute if you'd prefer to ask your questions that way. I am not seeing any right now. We'll give it one more minute. Oh, we have one. Will job clusters get more resources?
No, it would still stay the same. It's basically the same process, but if we do have a process if an org needs, or if a user as part of an org needs more resources, there's usually they come into a help desk ticket, and then we work with them to increase it and see what's a good sizing for them. So there's a process that we have where users can come in. It has to be approved by CMS for them to increase the sizing. But if they need more resources for their clusters, there's a process to get that approved.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence. Any other questions for our presenters? I'm not seeing any. We'll give it one more minute. When we would have to begin creating our own clusters, and then another question that I think is asking the same: how soon do we need to create our own clusters?
I think currently you're able to create your own clusters. When will managed clusters be going away? Tommy, I think that coincides with the release of UC, correct?
That's correct. I would plan on getting used to using the cluster policies and creating your own clusters sooner rather than later. I don't know if we have an exact date for UC, but it's going to be coming up soon. So just familiarize yourself with that process would be my suggestion.
Okay. I'm not not seeing any other questions right now. Just giving it one more minute. Can you please, oh, there's another request for getting added to the Slack channel. And we'll give it one more minute for any other questions coming through. Okay. So at this point, thank you so much to our presenters today, and thank you to all of our participants for joining. We appreciate your input and your attendance. Today's meeting materials, as I said, if you're joining late though, all the slide content and Q&A will be available on the CCSQ DNA portal shortly. Just a reminder, just give us a couple of days to turn that around so we can get that accessible and 508 compliant. Upcoming events, we do have our maintenance event on April 4th at 8 p.m. Our next town hall will be April 23rd, again at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then just a little announcement for our spring data camp that is coming May 13th and 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And an invite will be coming out shortly here, probably first week of April. So look for that in your inbox. And then as always, if you have any questions or issues or need support, please email us. And then there's our Slack channel where you can reach out. And with that, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day, everyone.